UFC 254 is this weekend. You know who these people are and you know what they can do. And this is why this particular fight is super interesting to watch. People who are not watching might be missing out. What I like to do is find different angles to look at things. And my work in Tai Chi, fascia, injury prevention is one part of who I am. For this particular fight, I think both parties have a lot of time to study each other. There are more material on Khabib than on Justin, so here it is. Justin has a very good wrestling background, but he isn't the best wrestler. He had two losses before in the UFC, which were preventable, in my opinion. He's a fighter that loves to fight and compete. Winning wasn't as important as the excitement to him before, but now he's changed under the guidance of Coach Trevor Whitman. Whitman is considered one of the most brilliant minds in MMA. Even Khabib took notice of this during an interview, saying how good Whitman is. And Whitman is someone who can not only bring out the best in the fighters he works with, but also lay out a game plan to magnify his fighters' strength and attack the vulnerability of the opposition. But executing complex plans against the highest level opponents requires a complete and total buy-in from a fighter. I believe Justin will 100% listen and trust Whitman's plan. He will avoid the side of the cages and maintain dominant center position of the octagon. He will not chase and he will let Khabib wrestle or trade punches in the middle of the ring. Khabib's biggest strength is how he mixes up his takedowns with punches. He has a tremendous high fight IQ. I believe it will play a major role in this fight. No one has been able to stop Khabib's wrestling game, and that has nullified every fighter who comes in with a plan, try to strike with the champ. Whitman knows that they have a hidden weapon in their back pocket. The fact that Justin rarely uses his wrestling fights could be proven valuable in defeating Khabib. On the wrestling side, I would give more credit to Khabib's considering how much energy is utilized in chain wrestling. If you're new to hyperbaric fascia training, you won't know the difference between a fascial-driven body to a muscle-driven one. But if you felt it before, you would know how different it is and how the body consumes oxygen. Khabib, on the other hand, has lost his pillar of strength. His coach and father, even though Khabib has better fight IQ than anybody I've seen in the octagon, I'm concerned that when he gets hit, how would he adjust to the adversity? A lot of times, it's the coach's unbiased call to tell your ego that you are not doing something appropriate. This time around, there will be no father figure to tell Khabib. Will he listen to his coaching staff when something goes wrong? On the coaching side, I would strongly favor Justin if there's going to be a Black Swan event. If you study The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you have to study the location and time of the battle.
Send me location.
The fight is supposed to happen after 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which would be equivalent to the afternoon of Justin's Colorado time, but it would be in the late evening for Khabib's time, since he lives in Russia, and he trains out of Russia due to COVID. Jet lag could play a role. I'm not ruling out because excitement added with jet lag could be an awful combination to proper rest. So I would favor Justin a little bit more in the time and location of the fight. I'm hoping Whitman prepared his athlete on how Khabib wrestles and his eagle claw move, quote unquote, and python legs wraps, and train wrestling. To me, if Justin wrestles like how he wrestles in the US, which gives a lot of back to your opponent, he would get taken advantage of earlier than later. I also question Justin's cardio. Justin is a fascia-driven athlete, but he is not that high level based on what I've seen in his round 5 performance. I hope he had trained with multiple people train wrestling him in his preparation against Khabib because he will need it. One thing he could win is heavy leg kicks to damage Khabib's takedown advances, then aiming for a knee to the head during a takedown attempt. If Justin can successfully defend 5 out of 7 takedown attempts, he has a real chance of winning. Guillotine chokes during the takedown is another option. One thing I like to mention is the fighter's body type. Previous fights, the body type that gave Khabib the most problem are people who have longer torso and shorter legs, which means that their hip location is lower and it's much harder to take down because when they start to defend, um, because their length of their torso, they're easily shift their body weight forward. And it's very hard to take people down like this. But if you're fighting someone who has longer legs, higher hip attachment, it's much easier for the person to be taken down. Let's take a look at the fight odds. Currently, Khabib is at minus 330. It means risking $330 to win $100. Justin is at plus 270, which means risking 100 to win 270. We're risking the same 330 to win $891. Considering the above conditions, if you were to bet on Khabib, to me, that's not a prudent move, unless you have entered the bet when it was at a better odds. I would go with Justin's camp, hoping they were more prepared than Khabib, and because the time and location of the fight, fascia-wise, also I would give a little bit of edge to Justin. We'll see what happens, guys. Thank you.